In tonight's video, we're gonna talk about 3 real horror stories I found on Reddit that sent shivers down the spines of those who experienced them. From a haunting that defied explanation to a mysterious incident on a mountain that still baffles investigators. Underneath the glistening moonlight, Danny and Freddie ventured home after a night of revelry at a pulsating party. Little did they know that the echoes of laughter would soon be replaced by the chilling whispers of an otherworldly force. It all began with Freddie, his demeanor shifting like the tides of an unpredictable sea. As the night air settled around them, Freddie's speech took a bizarre turn. Words unknown to him tumbled from his lips, a linguistic riddle that left Danny perplexed. English, the only language Freddie had ever known, now seemed foreign to him. Unease settled in as they navigated their way back to the apartment they shared. Upon crossing the threshold, the atmosphere warped into an eerie stillness. Midnight arrived, and with it a malevolent transformation overtook Freddie. His eyes, once windows to a familiar soul, now reflected a sinister unknown. He lunged at Danny with a ferocity that contradicted their years of friendship, attempting to claw at his eyes as if possessed by an unseen malevolence. With adrenaline-fueled desperation, Danny managed to confine the unhinged Freddie to his room, locking the door against the unsettling aggression. The night stretched on, every creak of the apartment settling into an ominous symphony. Morning's tentative light cast shadows on the aftermath. Danny cautiously opened the door to Freddie's room, finding him sprawled on the floor, unconscious. As Freddie stirred awake, his voice trembled with a haunting revelation. Darkness had swallowed his vision. Danny, with a mix of concern and dread, inspected Freddie's eyes to discover an unnerving transformation. Both orbs had turned a ghostly, complete white. Fearing the unknown, Danny urgently called a doctor, hoping for a rational explanation to this inexplicable nightmare. However, before the medical aid could unravel the mystery, Freddie, now blinded by forces beyond comprehension, managed a bewildering escape. The apartment, once a haven, now bore the scars of an unseen malevolence. Days unfolded like a feverish dream, the search for Freddie becoming a desperate quest for answers. How did he navigate the world without sight? The air hummed with unanswered questions, shadows cast by an ethereal enigma. A week passed, and the relentless pursuit reached its chilling conclusion. The police, drawn into the web of the unexplained, discovered Freddie's lifeless form. The apartment, a silent witness to the supernatural, whispered secrets it would never reveal. The investigation stumbled in the face of the unknown, leaving Danny haunted by the ghostly memory of a friend lost to forces beyond comprehension. In a quiet forest called Pinecrest Valley, 3 friends, Harry, Mark, and Alex, decided to go camping. They wanted to enjoy the peace and quiet of nature. Little did they know their camping trip would turn into a spooky mystery. As they sat around the campfire, telling stories and roasting marshmallows, everything seemed great. But as the night got darker, they found another campsite nearby. To their shock, they discovered a dead person there. The air went silent and fear filled the space. The friends argued about what to do. Mark wanted to call the police, but Alex convinced them to report the discovery to the authorities, so they reluctantly agreed. That night, they couldn't sleep. The forest felt strange, with weird sounds and shadows everywhere. The next morning, when they took the police to the spot, the body was gone. It was as if nothing had happened. Confused and scared, they went back to their normal lives, but the memory of that night haunted them. After that spooky night in Pinecrest Valley, the trio returned to their regular lives. However, things took a disturbing turn. All 3 friends started having nightmares. In these dreams, they would see the lifeless body they found during camping, lying in their beds, walking in the hall, and haunting their every step. This nightmarish cycle persisted for 3 long, eerie days, casting a chilling shadow over their attempts to move on. The line between the horrors of that night and the unsettling dreams became increasingly unclear, leaving them trapped in a waking nightmare that defied explanation. Jeff, a resident of Dayton, Ohio, was driving with his 3-year-old son, Miles, in the back seat when they passed by a cemetery. It was a modest cemetery with only flowers and small plaques. According to Jeff, as they drove by, his toddler, who'd been happily singing, abruptly stopped, pointed to the cemetery, and exclaimed, "Look at all those people." Jeff turned to look but didn't see a soul. Confused, he asked Miles what he was talking about. "All those people over there," his son replied. "There sure are a lot of grandmas." As Jeff tells it, chills ran down his spine as he asked his son what the people were doing. "They're all standing there, looking down at the grass," Miles said. Completely unsettled by the conversation, Jeff sped up and drove home. Later that same day, he says his young son was watching TV when he turned to Jeff and said, "You know, they weren't alive." Thinking Miles was referring to the cartoon, Jeff asked what he meant. "Those people we saw, they were all paused," his son replied. "I don't know if my kid has the sixth sense," Jeff says, "or if he just has a wild imagination."